In the years leading up to the Great War, the Confederation was at the height of its power, and there was a sense that nothing could stand up to humanity. This bred complacency and corruption, with funds intended for military projects directed towards vanity, as unscrupulous politicians ran rampant throughout the country. This meant that by the outbreak of the Great War, the Confederate forces were largely underfunded and undermanned, partly due to said corruption. This directly led to the defeat of the Confederate naval forces in a battle now known as the Massacre of the Braves, in which the First Fleet of the Confederation was destroyed in its entirety with no survivors. With the collapse of the Navy, ground forces fought on, but reality began to set in for military high command, and preparations were made. Part of these preparations were the very establishment of a new political order for what would become a stronger, reborn Confederation. This new confederation would be crafted under the guidance of Eldon Cloudus, who at the time was the leader of the expedition and naval admiral of the Confederate Navy. Most important to Cloudus was the establishment of a new political system and constitution to ensure that the corruption, complacency and inaction of the former systems and peoples were not allowed to once again reveal their ugly heads. This led to major reformations, including the establishment of a Senate, assemblies and giving the vote to a majority of citizens. Furthermore, it also creates a hierarchy in which the Senate governed, and by the end of these reformations in the year 2168, Cloudus was made consul by a unanimous vote. Now in the present day, the Senate has begun the process of further reformations, with the establishment of the offices and committees, two institutions which are purpose-built to allow senators to provide focus on specific subjects that relate to the running of the Confederation. And with such establishment came the need to assign senators such positions, and officers were quickly volunteered for, with the following people being assigned. First was Lucio Canis. As head of the Naval Forces Committee, they now were responsible for the naval budget, requesting new naval vessels and reformations of the naval forces as a whole. Second was Cato Mutius, who was now the counterpart to the naval forces and largely had the same responsibilities but for ground forces instead. Third was Lyra Potentia, who was now in charge of bringing up scientific projects needing funding, handling xenological activities, and requesting and handling budget requests for scientific research. Fourth was the Office of Budget and Management, which was now firmly under the control of Quaestor Gaius Clypius. Clypius had worked on the 2181 budget and 2180 budget, and was now in progress of working on the next budget for 2182. Finally, in the last positions, the Committee of Resource Extraction and Exploitation and the Office of Transportation and Commerce. Vulcanum became the head of resource extraction and Semporius the head of transportation and commerce. With all senators assigned, they now worked furiously on improving the Confederation's situation, a situation which had now expanded after the takeover of Apollo and Diana. Two immediate legislative proposals were proposed and passed through the Senate. First, with the Apollo Reformation, spearheaded by Consul Kerensky, it focused on standardizing the army, ensuring it would become a proper force capable of challenging areas. The second piece of legislation was the most important, and that was the budget of 2182. Highly anticipated, it was the first budget to take into account the recently liberated colonies. The budget funded movement of industry and people to the colonies to assist in job creation. Furthermore, it saw a focus on building automated mines, a new fuel harvesting station, and infrastructure to ensure continued population growth on New Solaris. While in terms of research focuses, the Senate budget funded ground force development and new weapons for future vessels. And while all the above funding areas of the budget have been significant, the last part of the budget overshadowed this. It provided funding for a total of 8 frigates, which will cost a significant amount of an already dwindling mineral stockpile. Furthermore, it provided funding to the reformations in the previous legislature. Now, with a plan of action, and the Senate mobilized, the Confederation begins to set its eyes on its next goals. The inner system may have been liberated, but not even Solaris, let alone the colonies, are safe from the threat that is the Ares technocracy. The recent liberation of Apollo and Diana exacerbated this problem, as the Navy was now tasked with defending an area significantly larger than they would otherwise. Combine this with the larger Ares Navy and their head start securing the vital planet of Defiance, which holds 95% of all fuel and system, and you have a situation that will only lead to conflict. Conflict the Confederation is not yet prepared for. How long it will take for said preparations to be made, or if they will ever be enough, only time will tell. Hello and welcome to episode number 5, long in the waiting, of the Shattered Empire series. I'm glad that you are back with us, and I hope that you enjoyed the intro. A lot has happened. I've had delays and issues, and having to rework things and change things and do all sorts of stuff, and also life. So unfortunately, we're now having to release the episode here on the 19th of September, 2021. Now, first thing I want to go over is that we have a lot of things to do. The Senate has been amazing. The people that have been working within the Senate to get stuff done have been incredible. And so I want to present you guys with the budget and the ideas they have came up with and done. My co-consul, Kerensky, who is Zaven, one of my members. And if you're interested in getting involved, you can as well. So here's the budget. And these are the requests that each consul, myself and Kerensky made, and really I'm just going to show you guys how it all works. So we made these requests: constructing additional military vessels, funding industry, establishing fuel harvesting around Defiance and the like. And then the Office of Budget Management made a resolution in determining what would be best to meet these requests, and that included we're going to be moving a lot of industry with civilians, and we're also going to be constructing our Dread Ardent class fuel harvester station around Defiance, and then we're going to continue to expand other shipyards and build infrastructure. There's also a lot more assessment in here, very detailed, and I want to give a big shout out to Gaius Clippius over on the Discord for doing all of this. And if you're interested in getting involved and helping out with stuff like this and running an empire in this detailed manner, then you can too. Ton of love, a ton of effort has been put in to that. The next thing is we have the Apollo Reformations, which is a new senator as well as my co-consul working on that, and they have been primarily working on handling a reformation of the army. So we're going to be going into proper legions, which are going to be made up of legionnaires, MMGs, mortar teams, anti-tank teams, recon. And then we're going to have armored. They've gone down the maintenance. They've decided how much that will cost in RP because we're such limited research potential that we need to. With that out of the way, we now need to actually execute said ideas. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go over to the civilian sector, and we're going to need to tell the civilian sector to do a few things. So the first thing that we need to do is look at Apollo. So Apollo actually has a lot of resources on the planet away. 30,000 tons just sitting there, which is beautiful. And another thing is they have conventional industry. We can convert that conventional industry into very valuable things, specifically automated mines. So we're going to supply 38 conventional industry from Apollo, and we're going to demand that be brought back to New Solaris with the goal of essentially converting those into automated mines for that express purpose. The next thing that we're going to be doing is moving financial centers to Diana because we need to supply jobs there, and that's been a stipulation by the Senate that we need to supply said jobs to the area. So we're going to demand financial centers. We're going to demand, how many do we need here? I believe it was 60 financial centers was the demand amount. And we currently have 60 over here. So we are going to supply 60 financial centers from this location. And then, the reason we're using civilians primarily is because of fuel. We don't have a lot of fuel, and that's why we need the fuel harvester station. And because of that, we're trying to use civilians as much as we can. We're also going to be assigning a governor here. We have governors assigned to all of these, which is good news. And then we need to start moving the last thing once we get the civilian contracts sorted out. But we'll get civilian contracts sorted out in a little bit. But once they're done with those, we need to move minerals across. So I'm going to have my cargo group now order them to go over to Apollo, load up all minerals, and then bring them back, and then unload all minerals, and then do a refuel from colony. You're going to cycle those orders, and then we're going to go on to the military aspect. So the military, we currently have fleets, the first expeditionary fleet, with combat squadrons, we have all of this other stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to order, I think what I'll do is I'm going to order the first combat squadron to do one specific duty, okay? And that duty is going to be the deployment. I mean, how long can you stay? 3 months. So we're going to need some corvettes. Yeah, let's get a couple corvettes. So I'm going to detach the, as consul, I'm going to order and detach the Arbitrator, Calidus, and the Widowmaker. We're going to rename them into Defiance Patrol Group. And another thing as well is I want to say big thanks to Lucio, who is the head of the Naval Committee. He's been assigning people. So, for example, Maxim Gregory and Konstantin Cherokov have been assigned to the CSS Kelio and the CSS Vantor, both relic vessels. Both those people are members over on my Discord and are on the Discord. Anyone can join the Discord and become part of the RP. And so, really big thanks to them. So we now have our 3 corvettes, the Arbitrator, Calidus, and Widowmaker. I'm going to order these vessels to do one specific thing. We already have fuel harvesters over Defiance, but those fuel harvesters aren't our own. So what I'm going to order for them to do is essentially do quarterly patrols. So how we're going to make this work, okay, is I'm going to set in a time of about a month. Yeah, let's do about a month's time, okay? Let me just grab that time in real quick. There we go. Minimum order delay on. And what's going to happen is we're going to say, okay, you're going to move to Defiance every month, okay? Then after that, after you've moved to Defiance, so you're basically going to spend a month there, and then a month back. So you're gonna go to the Defiance, but I want to give you the order to go immediately to Defiance first. So go to Defiance. Then you're gonna go back to New Solaris and do a refuel resupply. That's wrong. There's an extra O in there. So go to Defiance with nothing. There we go. Move to location, and then New Solaris refuel resupply, and then do an order delay. So refuel resupply, and so that'll be 30 days. Oh, that did not go correctly, did it? There we go. And so we can just cycle these moves. So we'll move to Defiance, and then it'll take 30 days from refuel resupply, and then it'll keep going back and forth over and over again, and that will provide us with essentially a patrol route between these 2 points. So if we have a look here, so this is where Defiance is. They have a fuel harvester already over. We also have a civilian fuel harvester. So we're going to be moving basically our military back and forth here with our corvettes. Now, something that will be important is we do need to make sure our civilians actually do their job. I'm not sure if they'll actually be able to, but we'll see. Either way, let's actually get incrementing in. It's been a while since we've actually incremented in the save, so here we go. So that is first cargo group, and then Defiance patrol group moving over there. And we're just going to do 1 day increments. And there we go. So we are currently on October the 13th, waiting for research to complete. We're going to have one of the ship sensors done, and we are building up what we requisitioned, which was 8 frigates. And we're trying to get the frigate sizes up for the shipyards we need. And we should have the first vessel done on June of 2182. So we'll be waiting for that one. The Altanin has completed her overhaul. And we are moving cargo now back from Apollo and back to the colony area, which is good news. Furthermore, I'm also wanting to establish a forward maintenance supply base where possible. But to do that, we're going to need to transfer maintenance supplies over, which I'm not sure we have the current capability to do so, which is something that we're going to have to look into in the future here. We're also putting in construction the Dread Ardent and a couple of the other vessels as well. I'm going to executively build a Claw of Justice, because otherwise we cannot actually build what we need, which is going to be the we can't tug the transport, and we're going to obviously want to tug that transport. So we're going to keep doing 1 day increments here. Complete the overall mineral shortage and maintenance supply production and Apollo. So let me have a look at Apollo. We currently have maintenance capacity. Yep. We do, so I'm going to just have you stop all of that. And we're continuing to move that over. So there we go. And the Defiance Patrol group's just going to move back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. As they provide patrol routes. Interesting. The destroyed outpost on your capital has been fully surveyed. The alien race which inhabited has been identified as the Epsilon Iridani, and a language and mythology has been translated. 8 abandoned installations. So first off, just ignore this. This is going to be Confederation. So we essentially found Confederation ruins from the old Confederation. Not a lot, definitely not a lot, but we can get those moved over. So I'm going to order you to load up some combat engineer brigades if we do have them available. We have these guys already on, so let's just unload them. We already have them on the actual troop transport. And we finished up we're in 2182 right now, and we finished up the ship active position radar. Currently, that will then mean that where the hell is it? The budget. Research-wise, we should be. Let me have a look. We're going to be going for a new reformation in regards to ground forces. So we will be designing a new ground force, and it's going to be static, medium bombardment, and it's going to be called the Starfall Artillery Battery, as according to the legislation passed within the Senate. And that is going to be created. Medium light armor, medium bombardment, and that is going to be for the future formations. So we will put that into research, ground combat, match the scientist up. We don't have a scientist available for that, so we're just going to go with what we have here. And we're going to put that into research, and that will be done on August this year. Okay. Now, speaking of those troop transports, I thought we unloaded. Yes, we did. So I'm going to have a look over on New Solaris, and I want to load myself up a combat engineer battalions, and then we're going to take that over to New Caprica, and then we're going to do a and then we're going to also load up a xenological survey battalion, and then unload the xenological survey battalion over here. There we go. And that should then leave us with construction brigades over on New Caprica. There we go. Shield Wall and Wrench Monkeys currently in work. I love the names. And they'll hopefully be working on figuring out and uncovering anything they find over there. Did they find something? Yep, there we go. Wow, we found a lot actually. Combat Engineer Shield Wall has found an abandoned cargo shuttle on New Solaris. Abandoned mine on New Solaris. Wait, we're finding stuff on New Solaris. We found 5.4 million liters of fuel. And we're recovering stuff from Diana as well. So we're making excavations, and we're finding ruined pieces of componentry and all sorts. But on New Solaris, we are also finding stuff. We have a construction and production entry construct of 70%. That's a really big deal. And we have 74 installations on the planet, which we can begin to take from our past selves, essentially. Apollo also has a lot of installations. And Diana has a lot of installations as well, which we can take. We also know of abandoned installations all across the system, and we're going to want to begin to excavate and take them where possible. Persephone also apparently has some, and we'll want to go and recover those, and those are obviously going to be lost amounts. So production infrastructure complete at New Solaris, which means we're going to continue our construction of other areas, and we should be finishing up construction factories here soon as well. Conventional industry has not yet been moved because, again, we are having an issue where we don't have any actual cargo ships from the civilians, and so we can't actually ship the resources needed. So whoever's on the Senate who decided that we're going to use civilians forgot that the civilians don't have money to buy the ships they need, and so, or maybe the budget's being appropriated somewhere else, which could be a problem. So we're going to stop the industry here, and we're going to make sure that everything's okay, and we're going to continue doing our one-day increments. Defiance Patrol is continuing to go back and forth, and we covered a mine on New Caprica even. So what have we recovered? Yeah, we've covered an automated mine, a mine here, and New Solaris is beginning to recover stuff as well. 5,600 tons of titanium found on Diana, and we're continuing, of course, to find various other resources. We have no further construction requests from the Senate, so we're not going to continue on that, though we are stipulated to continue our continual capacity upgrade to 6,000 tons. As we close in on further deadlines here, and we're moving those resources back and forth, the ruins of New Caprica have been fully exploited, and we found 7,400 tons of renderite, as well as troop transport larger base on New Caprica. There's quite a few resources: fuel, maintenance supplies, corundium, 6,600 tons of corundium, and verenderite as well. And I'm sure the Senate will have a lot to talk about regarding the exploitation of the ruins of the golden age of the Confederation, when the Confederation was at its heights. No longer is that the case, unfortunately, though, and so yeah, not doing as good as you may want. So we're going to be taking the combat engineer battalions, and we're going to bring them back to New Solaris, because we do have ruins from the golden era back on New Solaris. And we're continuing to load up on minerals and transport them. How is that progress actually going for Apollo? Actually really good. We have pretty much all the resources now off-world, and we have them back in the hands of the Confederation, which means that we have a massive surplus of extra resources, which should allow us to continue our construction efforts whenever we need to. Did anything specifically happen? Not that I can tell. No. And we're continuing to increment along here with no issues whatsoever, as we recover more and more. We recovered abandoned infrastructure on Diana, we recovered the refueling system, abandoned mine, abandoned construction factories, terraforming installation even on New Solaris, which is actually really high tier, because that now means that we could, if the Senate authorized it, we could begin a attempt at starting up terraforming, though it's a very low amount. We need to get rid of the nitrogen oxide if we want to actually make New Solaris breathable once again. Though this does give us hope for that potentiality, if that is what the people want. Production of the Dread Argent has now begun, and we should be finishing up the first Owl-class vessel here shortly. There we go, the CSS Canary, which we're actually going to be renaming here because there was a suggestion that got approved within the Senate, and that was to name the first new vessel of the Confederation, the CSS Kerensky, in honor of his service as consul. So we're going to move you up, and we're going to bring you into the first expeditionary fleet, and there we go, we have the CSS Kerensky here, and we continue to need other vessels to be built for this, however. So I'm going to order up the second vessel to be constructed. So this will be the CSS Albatross, and that'll be another Owl-class vessel. That'll be done on October. But this is our first ever vessel completed. And part of that first vessel's duties is I'm going to order this vessel to head over towards Ares and provide scouting information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give some pretty intricate orders, actually. I'm going to detach the Kerensky. It's going to be on its own, and I'm going to order it to go towards Ares. Yeah, move to location, follow Ares. Yeah, follow Ares. 180,000. No, I want like... What's our sensor ranges? Sensor range 35 million kilometers. So we're going to go 5 million kilometers away from the planet. So I want Ares, follow 5 million. 5 million. And then you're going to return back to New Solaris every month, and that will provide us with information regarding our enemies. So we're going to turn our actives on, and we're going to order the fleet, well, not the fleet, but we're going to order the Kerensky under the command of Centauri Carol Budrow and Optio Rosendo Kazan, who are in charge of the newest vessel in our fleet, to begin a duty to survey, or not survey, but to scout out opponent forces, get information on what we can find, and see if we can make that of any benefit to ourselves. So we're closing in. And we have detected. So this is what we can see so far. Senators better be paying attention here. We have 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 14, 15, 17, 21 vessels total seen, as well as a shipyard with a signature of 14,400, and Ares has a thermal of 5,000 and an EM of 12,000. We're going to continue to close in, however. And we're picking up GPS. We can see their shields. They do have access to shields, as well as their very much larger vessels compared to us. So we're just going to sit there now, and we're going to use sitting there to provide us with the information we're going to need going forward. But yeah, we detected those ship contacts, and we'll be continuing to detect those ship contacts and determine anything that we can from them. We seem to recover 6.8 million liters of fuel, which is really, really nice. We update the ship contact. Looks like a commercial vessel. More Verendorite has also been found as well, and we're digging up just a ton of resources, which are going to be extremely useful. And I presume that the Senate, or in this case the the Senate, or in this case the Office of Management budget, is going to have a lot of work to be cut out for in terms of managing whatever they can. So the next thing that we're going to research is going to be energy weapons. Now that I was told 5, and I'm also going to cancel the powered armor project for now, and we're going to put everything onto 12cm laser focal size, because that's apparently what is slated for research. So we're going to put that into the research accordingly. Now we should be looking at finishing off the Call of Justice here soon. And we're also going to be building our Dread Argent. However, we've started to run out of infrastructure, and we should have the Dread Argent done on 2183. And the Defiance Patrol group currently continuing its duties around that location, while the CSS Kerensky continues to observe Ares, and we are continuing to move minerals and other resources about. First cargo group, however, is going to need to stop because there's no more minerals on Apollo, and we're going to have to start shipping resources from Apollo back to New Solaris, specifically conventional factories and other very nice necessities. So go over here. I want you to load all installations, not load installations, but load conventional factories, conventional industry, and then you're going to unload those onto Earth. Not Earth, but New Solaris. God, that's wishful thinking. Imagine if we actually did have Earth, it would be a lot nicer than New Solaris. And we're going to be shipping those resources back to the colony. Kerensky continuing to keep tabs on our opponents here. They seem to be growing, as we can see. No new ships that we can so far detect, however. Is that actually working out? Is the Kerensky actually able to do what it needs to do? Apparently not. Well, you're doing fine so far, so we'll leave you like that. Alright, I think that's what I'm going to leave the episode off here. Not a lot actually did happen this episode, but some major developments occurred in terms of building a new vessels, finishing off fuel harvesters, really establishing our plans. This is really the planners episode. We planned out what we're going to do with this area, we're going to do this budget, we're going to buy this. And now once we go to 2183, 2184, 2185, we can start to think about our military, we can start to think about establishing further here. And we're also going to need the emergency budget or legislation on what to do about the civilian economy, because the civilians are not doing what the civilians are supposed to be doing. So we'll see what we can do. So I'm going to end it on Christmas. I'm going to end it on the 31st of December, 2182. And we've recovered many, many materials from all of these colonies, and it'll be up to the Senate to decide what to do with them. I'll see you guys next time. Please don't like, comment, subscribe. Really, really does help me out. Consider joining in on the roleplay over on the Discord and get involved and even become a member. It really does mean a lot. Bye-bye.